Hey everyone, Corey here again, and today I'm going to teach you how to 2D sketch. Now before you sketch in SolidWorks, you need to select a plane or a face that you would like to sketch on. I'm going to select the top plane. It's good practice to look at the plane you're sketching on head on so that your perspective is not skewed. So I'm going to go to the top view. Make sure that your sketch tab is selected. We're going to start off with the simplest tool in SolidWorks, and that's the line tool. So when we click on that and are ready to go, we can see that our cursor changes to this pencil icon. To start drawing a line, simply click and then move your mouse, and you can control the size and the direction of your line. Click again to end your line segment. You can add line segments to one another, and when your line is perfectly horizontal like this, or perfectly vertical like this, SolidWorks will notify you with a little yellow box next to your pencil icon. You can draw more than just lines with the line tool. In fact, if you hover over the end point of the last line segment you created, you can draw an arc. And at the end point of that arc, you can continue with a regular line or another arc, like so. I'm going to finish off this shape with some regular lines. Now as you can see, when you have a fully enclosed shape in SolidWorks, the inside of it will be highlighted a dark blue color. I don't want to sketch any more lines, so I can go over to this left menu and I can press OK and then OK again. Alternatively, I could have hit escape. Now I want you to notice in this menu that next to our sketch, we have this traffic light icon. That basically tells us that we are currently editing this sketch. Everything that we do applies only to this sketch. And if we wanted to exit this sketch, we would have had to hit this exit sketch button here or press Ctrl B. Now before I move on and show you some more sketch tools, I'm going to show you the most common feature tool in SolidWorks. So go to your Features tab and hit on Extruded Bar Space. By default, we have the depth set to 10 millimeters. We're going to change it to 40 millimeters and then press Enter. You can hit OK to confirm that. And as you can see, from that irregular 2D shape we drew, we have created our first 3D object. Now this object is only going to get in our way for now, so I'm going to delete it. If we look at this menu where we see sketch 1 is, the traffic light is not next to it, meaning that we're not currently editing it. So if we want to edit it, we have to right click and then select Edit Sketch. I'm going to go back to my top view. Before I show you a few other tools, I'm going to delete this. And now we'll try out the rectangle tool, specifically the corner rectangle tool. There are several ways you can create a rectangle, as you can see here, but we're only going to stick to the default for right now. So click to start your rectangle and then move your mouse to control the width and the length of the rectangle. After you make your rectangle, you can change all of its parameters in this left menu here, but we're just going to leave it as is for now. Next, I'm going to show you the circle tool. So let's get this rectangle out of our way. It's right next to our line tool, and the first point we make, when we click, it's going to be the center point of our circle. And as we drag our mouse out, we're defining the radius of our circle. When we're done, we can change parameters over here in this dialog box. So if I wanted my circle to be located at the origin, that is, if the center point is at the origin, I can change the x coordinate of its center point to 0 and the y coordinate of its center point to 0. And if I wanted a circle with a radius of exactly 100 millimeters, I can simply type 100 in here and we're done. So I'm going to hit OK. Now I want to create another sketch on a different plane. So like I said earlier, I'm either going to hit on this exit sketch button or I'm going to press Ctrl B. You can see when we exit our sketches that our shapes turn to this gray color. So I'm going to choose to sketch on the front plane now. I'm going to select this front plane and go back to my sketch tab. The next tool I'm going to show you is the arc tool. Again, there are several ways you can draw the arc, but we're going to stick to the 3-point arc. So the first point you draw is the first endpoint on your arc. Second point you make is the second endpoint. And the third point determines the radius of this arc. So it determines how shallow or how exaggerated the arc is. So I can leave it like that and then hit OK. Next, I'm going to show you the ellipse tool. Again, there are many different ellipses that you can create, but we're going to stick with the standard ellipse. Just like with the circle, the first point you make is going to define the center point of your ellipse. And as you drag your mouse out, you are determining not only the size but the direction of your major radius. So if I have my line completely horizontal like this, the minor radius will expand perpendicular to that, so it will expand vertically. So it really does matter how you orient that first line. So I'm going to leave it like this, and again I can hit OK or I can press Escape. This is a good opportunity to show you one of the most useful tools in the Sketch tab, and that is the Trim tool. So to access the Trim tool, click on Trim Entities, and by default this Power Trim will be selected. What this allows us to do is subtract shapes from one another. So for instance, if I wanted to get rid of this portion of the first arc I drew that's intersecting this oval I created, I can simply click and hold my mouse and drag to get rid of that part. And I can do the same thing here. And if I only wanted the outer edges of this to define a fully enclosed shape, I can get rid of this portion of my oval. Again, I simply click and hold and drag, and now I have this UFO saucer shape. I can hit OK in this menu here, and we'd be good to go. Now I'm going to switch to the right plane to create another sketch. So I want to, like I said, either hit Ctrl B or exit sketch. Now note that when you're creating a new sketch, you don't have to sketch on a new plane. I'm just doing it to make the illustration easier. So I'm going to click on my right plane, and the next tool I'm going to show you is the Polygon tool. Again, just like with the circle, the first point you make will determine the center of your polygon. And as you drag your mouse out, you determine the size and the orientation of your polygon. So I'm going to leave it like this. By default, it's going to be set to a hexagon, but of course you could change the number of sides it has. So you can make it a 3-sided polygon, which is a triangle. And then you can make it a 8-sided polygon, an octagon. And with the rest of these boxes here, you can change the orientation, the size, and the location of the center point of this polygon. So I'm going to hit OK. The next thing that I'm going to show you is the spline tool. So we're going to delete this polygon, and we're going to go up to this curve that's right next to our circle tool that says spline. Again, we have several types of splines. We have the regular spline, the style spline, and the equation-driven curve. We're going to stick with the regular spline for right now, and in later tutorials we're going to cover how to use the style spline. So when you use a spline, you're basically creating a bunch of points that a specific curve will intersect. So as you can see, it's a very flexible tool, and you can create all types of shapes just by defining different points on a spline. If you want to stop drawing your spline, you can simply hit escape. And you can control the points on these splines like so, just by clicking and dragging. So it offers a lot of flexibility in terms of creating irregular shapes that our polygons and arcs simply cannot do. So I'm going to hit OK because I'm comfortable with the shape of this spline. The last sketch tool I'm going to show you in this tutorial is the point. So this is literally just for creating a single point as a sketch. It has a few uses, but I don't think you'll be using it much, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. So you simply just click, and there it is. That's all there is to it. And you can hit OK. Now in the next video, I'm going to be showing you sketch relations, smart dimensioning, and all that stuff. So see you next time.